Hi everyone. In this video, we continue Learning Module 2 with Chapter 3, Organizing and Drafting Business Messages. In this micro lecture, we focus on gathering and organizing information. The textbook combines organizing and gathering information, doing research. In this chapter, as it begins the process of drafting, but to be honest, those really are part of pre-writing. You must gather information before you can even think about writing, and you have to, in a basic sense at least, think about how to organize the information. This is why people create outlines before writing their first draft. Let's look at the PowerPoint in LM2, Chapter 3. We start with research. In English 1010, Composition 1, you learned about conducting and citing research. We'll continue those ideas in this class, though we will use APA documentation style rather than MLA style. Think about some of these questions as you plan to do your research. You can pause the video, dwell on these questions for a little bit, and then resume. Two basic types of research are informal research and formal research. Informal research includes things like searching company files, talking with colleagues, talking with your boss, interviewing the target audience, conducting an informal survey, such as a teacher might do in class. Show of hands, how many of you read the chapter today? That's an informal survey. And brainstorming, which you no doubt learned about in English 1010. Of course, surveys can also be more formal, and we'll talk about that in more detail later. Formal research is what most of us think of when we hear the word research. It involves both primary and secondary research. Secondary research is always the starting point. Go to the library, physically or virtually, and to the internet after you've gone to the library. Really, the World Wide Web. And find articles that deal with your topic, both for and against. Find both secondary sources, such as journal articles, books, newspapers, and primary sources, such as blogs, Twitter feeds, Facebook, and the like. Primary research involves you, the writer, generating the data by conducting observations, experiments, interviews, and surveys via questionnaires. We'll discuss research in greater detail later in chapters 9 and 10 when we get to the formal and informal reports. Organization is critical. A message must be organized logically, no matter how short or long, to be effective. Organization could be by chronology, sequence, from most important to least important, and so on. Creating an outline can help you visualize the best organization based on your audience's needs. Of course, you could have the same message targeted to different audiences, and you would organize it differently for each audience. For example, a sales report targeted to the company's CEO will be organized one way: overall, how the company is doing. Then separated into fiscal quarters, then into regions, then within regions, separated into perhaps product sales or salesperson effectiveness. But the same report going to regional vice presidents will be organized first by region, then by quarter, then by product or salesperson. Two concepts we'll discuss in more detail as we move through the semester are the direct organizational strategy and the indirect organizational strategy. It really is simple. In the direct strategy, covered in Chapter 6, the main point comes first, then explanation, then details or evidence, then the closing. With the indirect strategy, we start with an appropriate opening, which we'll discuss in chapters 7 and 8, then give explanation and details, then the main point, then the closing. Now, watch the next video to conclude chapter 3.